In the previous screencast, the basics of data entry on the HA table were covered using drop-down menus and named ranges. Now it will be demonstrated how the HA data table will be linked to the FS, that is the functional space, data table. My informal survey of pre-demo asbestos surveys posted for public bid on the internet shows about 75% of all surveys are not sorted by functional space. However, since abatement is performed by location and not by material type, it is important for survey data to be compiled by functional space. After all, you're going to abate a building by space and not by material type. For example, you aren't going to go through a building and abate all the floor tile throughout and then come back to that same space and do the ceiling tile. No, you're going to do the floor and the ceiling tile at the same time in a contiguous space and then move on. Your tables therefore should present a clear picture of each material to be abated for each subfunctional space. So this system makes it practical and cost-effective to compile large tables by functional space. So let's jump in where we left off on the HA data table. So we have 3 materials listed on our data table, and now we're going to enter those on the functional space data table. So we start out entering our location information in. Say that the first space is a foyer. Now we've come to the HA information, and you'll note that this is shaded to call out that this corresponds exactly with the data on the HA table. Now what we could do is just copy very easily this information right on to the functional space data table. However, we're going to do something a little better than that. What we're going to do is we're going to copy the mnemonic as an array string. So for example, we're going to enter the plaster first. So we select those cells, and then up here we're going to type in equals SP underscore 1. Now this is important. We're going to enter it as an array. So rather than just clicking enter, we're going to do Control Shift Enter. And what that does is it links it as an array directly back to the HA table, almost like a link. And so you cannot change this information here because it is linked back to the table, and that's a good thing. So let's do our second material. So we want to enter a fire door. So what did we use to help us remember the fire door? Well, that was D for door underscore M. Again, Control Shift Enter. And that information is entered automatically. And then let's do our third material. And that was the pink 9x9. And so we used what for that? Equals P underscore 9. And then Control Shift Enter. Got to select the whole range. Let's try that again. Equals P underscore 9, Control Shift Enter. There we go. Now one of the advantages here is because this information is linked, for example, we're moving along and we find out, there's actually a couple different types of metal fire doors. So let's call this one old, and we're going to classify the newer ones differently. So we type in old there, and then what happens is all the information that's corresponding on the FS table is automatically updated. So the same thing happens when you get your lab results. For example, you can plug in ACM here, and then every listing on your data table is going to have that same corresponding result. Same thing for the floor tile. If we get tile as mastic non-detect, again, that will automatically show up on this table here. So the information is linked. However, if you do want to enter an exception, you're not stuck. What you can do is you can copy this information and you can paste special and paste it as values, and then therefore you can do an exception if you needed to. But then again, this information is not linked as an array string, so you would have to update it manually by hand. So that basically illustrates how the array strings are used to link the HA table to the functional space data table. In the next screencast, I will review some of the additional features of this system, so please stay tuned.